I don't know, Johnny. It seems like maybe Knies, like, give him a shot elevated, just a couple games. I don't know. He just looks like a big, strong guy, and he looks like he wants and needs a little bit more. Would you explore that?
And slide who down?
I don't know, a Yarncrook or, I don't know, Bertuzzi, that line, like, I don't know. I would just give Knies a little shot and say, what do you got for a couple games?
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I mean, if you're thinking, could you go Yarncrook and Domi and Minton, and then put Knies up with Tavares and Nylander, or flip-flop Bertuzzi? Yeah, I mean, I think so. But I think we need to also be mindful. Like, Matthew Knies looks so good when he plays, right? Through the training camp, you see how big he is, how strong he is, how quick he is. And yet he's never in college been a massive point producer, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he had 41 points in 38 games playing on the best team in the country with Logan Cooley as a centerman. That's not massive production. It's good, but it's not great. So I wonder if we just have to temper the idea that even if, no matter where you play him, if he's going to be right now like a 60, 70-point guy. Like, he might be a complementary player that does a whole bunch of good things that is a 40-point guy, and that would be really valuable. I just don't know if he's got the finish just yet in his game. But that third line, it hasn't worked. It hasn't been as effective as they were hoping that it would be. Minton, all the attention he's received coming out of camp, and it's been a slower start than they would have wanted. Not just because they haven't scored. That's okay not to score. It's more they haven't generated very much.
Yeah, they're not impactful. They're not
impactful. They don't have the puck in the offensive zone. They're not giving energy. They're not wearing other guys out. They're not drawing penalties. The stuff you want to do if you're not scoring.
Yeah, and that's ultimately something that, not these players in particular, but this issue is something Dubas had to deal with for a long time, Johnny, and it's not going to change just because Trey Living has arrived. When you invest as much money into certain players like they have, the Dubas era was consistently him trying to find cheaper options, younger options, different options for the bottom six and for depth on the blue line. And Trey Living's going to have to deal with the same issue. Like, until the cap goes up exponentially, or they decide to make a serious philosophical move in terms of moving off a player or two in particular, he's got the same challenge. Team isn't, there's different players, but it's still the same setup that Dubas had. It's just a new GM now. Yeah,
and the same team that has been really, really good with that setup, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they're always trying to get better, but they very, very good with that setup, and they will be again this year. They made a commitment to Klingberg. Let's see if it can work itself through. It's still working on it. McCabe was a big move last year. They traded a first-round pick to get his salary shaved, so he's a lower-priced option. Like, he needs to kind of find his footing. And then, the bottom six, like the entry-level guys, which is Knies and Minton, these are the guys supposed to play better than their contracts. You're talking about trying to find financially viable options. Well, that's what entry-level deals are. So, they're working on it. The good news is, though, the best guys are playing. Like, Austin Matthews probably played better. Like, not better. He had more chances to score last night than he did in the first two games, and he had none. Like, he could have had 4 goals last night, and he got none. Nylander is incredible right now, and Nylander is so making John Tavares go. Like, it's so important that those two stay together the way that Nylander tracks pucks and carries pucks and works well with Tavares. Mitch Marner is doing his thing as per usual. Like, at least if you're going to have anyone going, having your best guys going is so important. The other issue, we haven't even talked about it once, and I think it's not just reactionary to 3 games. Noodles. Samsonov wasn't great in camp. No. He didn't play that much. Wasn't great. Wool, can't say Wall anymore. Wool, he only played 1 full game. He was just okay in that last game against Detroit. And from what I've seen in the game so far, they haven't been terrible, but they haven't been good. And that, as much as anything, if they were just better, it would clean up a lot of the mistakes the team in front of them is making, because they've just been okay so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Wool was okay last night, and Brian said, like, you give up 2 breakaway goals. Maybe if he gets one of them, it just looks a little bit different, like feels a little bit different. I say this all the time, guys. Like, you're going to give up goals, but teams that win and teams that believe in their goaltenders, they get the save, the right save at the right time to either keep them in the game, to give them an opportunity if they're getting caved in. Like it's the ability to identify when that team needs that big save.
Noodles,
and that's
we only
where
believe in
it.
goalies. We only believe in goalies when they save it. Like that's it.
That's true.
That's when we stop
That's fair.
believing when they don't save it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but watching that game last night, guys, I was in studio watching it, and when the Leafs made it 1-1, I said, if Leafs score the next goal, this game's over. Like, they're going to run away with this game, and it's done. Done.
Yep.
If they don't, it's going to be a tough night. And sure enough, unfortunately, if you're a Leaf fan, that's how it played out, because they kept a team around. Give Chicago credit. They play hard. They defend hard. Their goaltender, who I've never even really seen play before, Soderblom, was very good.
Yeah.
But like that, unfortunately, it felt like a Leaf game we've seen over the last few years where they really play well against the top teams. They really do. Their best games are often against Tampa and against Boston, and they've struggled at times against teams maybe that are lower them in the standings. And that's what last night felt like, just not quite dialed in to start and let a team that they're better than hang around long enough to get a result.
Johnny, the one guy I will challenge you on is, you talk about the top guys. I think Nylander's been dynamite. Matthews as well. I think Marner's been average at best, to be honest with you. It's only 3 games. I'm not trying to make some blockbuster statement, but I think he's just got more to give. He hasn't been as dialed in as he usually is.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, because, that's relative to the standard that we hold him to.
Yeah,
Because,
of course. He's usually
very, very
all
good.
over the puck, like he's dogging it, and he has it, and turnovers. He hasn't been himself through 3 games.
No,
been okay, but it's just been okay.
Yeah, at this point, it's the Matthews and Nylander show, and
That's
everyone's kind of focused on the two of them dragging them into the fight.